a question for you and taking all personal feelings out of it.
Yes.
If, by chance, Tony Khan was going to look at this as a moment to refresh the blood, to do some things that kind of, okay, this is our opportunity. If the Elite and CM Punk, at a minimum, are going to be suspended, you got to think for at least a little while. They can't pop up back on TV next week. Then this is a chance to do something new, push some different talent, and maybe change the look and sound of the show a little. Do you see it making any sense to take Jim Ross off the show?
Well,
or only use him in select spots?
That wasn't where I thought you were going, but I will answer where I thought you were going because it also answers your question. I think right now it doesn't make a fuck who the announcers are on the television program. They got bigger fish to fry. If I was right now, if I had Jim Ross working for me in my company, I'd say, JR, if you want more money to do this than you did to announce, I understand, but I've got plenty of money. I say that publicly. That's what Tony Khan ought to say. Take Jim Ross off the announce desk and make him the head of talent relations instead of Tony Schiavone or QT or Christopher Daniels or whoever. I don't even know all these names that have something to do with talent relations that have never, ever done this before, either ever anywhere or ever anywhere of any size, and say, JR, you're the head of talent relations. I don't want you to book. That's a whole different problem. Here are all my contracts with all the talent. Here's all the deals. Here is who's on whose side that I can determine. Here's the problems I've had with everybody, this guy and that guy and the other guy. Can you have a series of meetings where you set everybody down one at a time, two at a time, if they're a tag to whatever, and just figure out what's wrong, what everybody's problem is, who everybody's mad at, and how it can be solved? Are they mad at the company? What for? And let's fix it. Are they mad at the guy they're working with? What for? Let's see if we can fix it. Well, I'm just saying, Jim Ross sat and babysitted the most highly strung, highly paid fucking talent in this business for years. He's got experience. He's done a bunch of things to overcome a bunch of people's problems in the past, and some he couldn't overcome, and those he either sent on their way or was instructed by the chairman to send them on their way. And all of those things apply here. So why not sit down and go, okay, somebody that has done more of this than anybody else on earth at a high level with more top talent, let's get their advice on how to sit down and get everybody on the same page.
If you think that there's a feckless talent relations department, if that's part of the argument, so many of the guys, if not pretty much everyone there, is a contemporary, or just about, not that much older than the roster in some cases. It's wrestlers that either retired young or whatever it is, they're not that much older than the stars there. They've worked indies with them, for instance.
Right.
Do you think it's important to have any kind of significant age difference between the person who's in charge of this or do you think it's just about, let's not make it about age. Should it be someone who has no relationship with these guys coming in? Should it be someone who has a relationship with them?
No, it shouldn't be somebody that has no relationship with them, because then that's the problem that Tony had. And from the beginning, he had met them and assumed all of the guys and assumed that they're friends, but he didn't have any relationship with them like on an ongoing basis as a business, associate. He was a fan of theirs and signed him up to wrestle for him. And if you get somebody that has no personal relationship or previous relationship with any of these guys and doesn't have a pretty good understanding of the wrestling business, then it comes down to who presents themselves to that person that doesn't know anything as the most knowledgeable, not who is the most knowledgeable. That's how Russo keeps getting jobs. So it's not about who's the best talent, who's the best employee for your company, whatever. It's about who comes off as the nicest guy to somebody that doesn't know anything about anybody. And people in wrestling, that is sometimes these people's best talent, whether it's Shit Stain or the Hardley Boys or whoever. A lot of people think that old Twinkle Toes is just a heck of a guy when they don't know anything about anything. So, you stay away. You get people who know the fuck out of wrestlers, not people who have never met wrestlers or people who have only been friends with wrestlers.
But I guess the question is, do you want someone who's from a different generation? Do you want someone who knows wrestlers, has stayed in constant touch with the business over the last 20 or 30 years, but isn't between 40 and 50 and a wrestler of this generation?
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Does it matter? Does it matter?
It shouldn't matter. I mean, because I'm intelligent enough to know that regardless if a person is my age or younger or older, if they have more experience and are more talented and more accomplished and have a better track record in whatever than I do, I should listen to them. And I do in almost every phase of my life except wrestling. You know why? Because there's almost nobody that has a better track record, more experience, and knows more about wrestling than me. But if I'm going to get my car fixed, I'm going to go to the doctor, I'm going to get a fucking room renovated.
Turn on your computer.
I'm going to turn on my computer.
Turn on your phone. Yeah.
I'm going to ask questions of people that know more about it than I do. Whether they're young, old, or whatever the fuck. And that's not happening here because Tony thought that he trusted these guys that they know what they're doing, and he wasn't well versed enough in wrestling to know that they didn't. The EVPs I'm talking about. He believed because he was a fan, and a very special kind of fan, not just a casual fan, but a fucking fan, that he would know how to write his own television show, even though he had never done it before, ever, for real. And we see how that's worked. And that's the problem here. It's not, Tony's a great guy because he financed everything and had the contacts with TBS, the previous administration, and the whole 9 yards to get this thing done. So he does deserve to win some Promoter of the Year awards. But as talent relations manager or as booker, as we talked about earlier with all the turns, or anything to do with the actual wrestling business, no, he's hindered the company because he won't put people in charge that know what the fuck they're doing. And because he believed that this mass hypnosis about the elite was going to transform into a national wrestling promotion. When, let's face it, again, as now his own numbers are showing, the people don't want to see the trampoline cowboys. They don't want to see the bullshit. They want to see stars and they want to see serious shit. They don't want to see gymnastics and they don't want to see cosplaying kids. And the ratings are bearing that out. And the reason why that all this stuff is blowing up right now, like we talked about, WrestleMania 1 was a perfect storm of all the publicity falling into place and all these things happening. Well, now their perfect storm has become that the EVPs are seeing that they're being seen through. That nobody gave a shit when Twinkle Toes came back for his triumphant return. 200,000 people said, fuck it. I'll watch the grass grow before I'll watch this. And they're being seen through, and they don't like that because Punk came in and drew real money and real ratings and gave them a boost. And so now they have to be on the train to get Punk fired because that further fucking exposes them. These are what the problems are. It's not just about who announces the TV show or whether they do a shitty segment 6. It's that he's relied on inexperienced people and people who are only out for themselves and their friends. And then the perfect storm, Cody just left. Cody's too professional. Cody took it seriously being an EVP. Cody wants to wear a suit, and Cody, because of his genes and the American dreams, blood flowing through his loins or whatever, he wants to be a serious wrestling executive in charge of a major company. Or he wanted to, probably still does. But he didn't want to put up with the fucking kids. Punk says, I'm old, I'm hurt, I'm tired, and I work with children. Cody just said, I'll just go on up there where they will fucking give me a spot because I'm me and they need a baby face. He didn't want to fucking fuck with them. But you got a guy like Punk whose track record is he don't put up with bullshit. And again, when you talk about talent relations, does anybody think that it was entirely news to Tony Khan, everything CM Punk said in that media scrum? Tony Khan had never heard these things before. And on the other side of the coin, does anybody think that Tony Khan had not heard all the bitching and griping from the EVPs? And did anybody think that Tony Khan was unaware that hangnail Adam Page went out on his national television show and went into business for himself, trying to take up for Colt fucking Cabana when there was $1 million gate and a fucking pay-per-view world title main event coming up? And instead, what's on that fucking empty-headed little fucking butt muncher's mind is Colt fucking Cabana?
You know, that's the part of the story that we still don't have a handle on.
Tony Khan knew what he was supposed to be saying because he's the booker. Did Tony Khan not say like everybody else did when he was sitting there watching it? What the fuck is he saying? Why did Tony Khan not go to Adam Page afterwards and go, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Do you think I'll ever let you on television again after you just did that? No, he didn't, because he don't have the balls. That's the problem. All this stuff has been going on. All this stuff has been happening, and you know that Tony Khan's been hearing it, but he wouldn't do anything about it. So that's where we're at.